Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys a new method for web scraping that involves using a headless browser. The package we're going to be using is called Chromote, so it kind of mimics a web browser without actually opening up the browser. So for a few months, I've been having some issues on scraping tables or sites that load up their data using JavaScript. This method worked for me, and I'm sure that the method I'm going to be showing you today will be good for other sites that also use Cloudflare and JavaScript for loading their data. So to actually scrape the site, we're just going to be using the URL. Now sometimes you'll need to go through the network and check what the official URL is, and the way to do that is to right click on the page, click inspect, and go to network. We're then going to go ahead and reload the page, and usually it's the very first link, so I'm just going to click on stop. We're going to scroll all the way to the top, and here in headers you'll find the request URL, and if you click on response, sometimes you'll see a table which can be easily extracted in R, but in our case the data that we're going to be working with is in HTML. So just verify the URL in the header section and the type of data that you're going to be working with in the response. Now if we go to our R script and if we click on econ cal, we see all the data, so we can go ahead and verify that it starts with New Zealand. And here we have New Zealand, and it ends with the ECB President Lagarde speaks, and it doesn't have any output here. So back in our table, we should see the same. So we have essentially grabbed all the data from the site. Now the way this works is we're going to be using Chromote. Again, you're going to be placing your URL, and if it does have some sort of query in there, you're going to have to add it in here. It's going to start a Chrome session without opening up the browser, so it's going to run in the background. We need to set our user agent. Now for this, you can actually get from the site. So if you go back to the site and you go to the headers, and down here in request headers, you just want to copy the user agent, which is this one here, or you can just copy the one that I have on the script. Now, since we do have Cloudflare running in the background and JavaScript as well, we need to wait for those to load. So I put a pause for 5 seconds while those load up. And depending on the site that you're trying to scrape, you may want to adjust this to make sure that the JavaScript is executed all the way. After the pause, we're going to go ahead and grab the HTML content and read it into R using read HTML from RVest. And finally, just close out of the browser. The next part is just formatting the HTML. So let's go ahead and delete everything from my environment. And we're going to go ahead and run this up to line 28. So if we click on run here and look at the console, you can see it running. So that was fairly easy. We're going to go back to our script. If you watch my previous videos or previous iterations of scraping the economic calendar, this next part stays the same as the previous versions. So we're going to pass in our HTML into R, and we're going to look for the event IDs, the time, the sentiment, the country, the type of report, and the ACP, which stands for the actual, consensus, and prior, which all get returned in one long string. So we need to split that and return it as a data frame, and it's going to create 3 columns. From there, we just format as this return the header, so we need to drop the first row. Now in some cases, as you saw from the economic calendar, some of those events didn't return anything. We need to still keep those instances as all the data has to line up. Next, we're going to combine the time, the country, the sentiment, and the report. We're going to drop the first row, fix the column names. Now on the site, they do have one long row which displays the new day. So here you see that this is when Saturday begins. But for each of the days in the week, you'll see that long date across all the columns. So we need to go ahead and remove that. And then finally, we can go ahead and combine the economic calendar with the ACP. We're going to change the timestamps to local time and do a bit of formatting to make sure that everything lines up. So let's go ahead and run this second part, and we'll take a look at it in the console. So here we see all the code being ran, and finally we have our output. So that's an example of how to use this package to scrape data from sites when RVest and HTTR are not working for us. But with that, guys, this concludes the video. I hope this was useful information. I'll leave a link down in the description area to my Patreon where you can find this script. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.